What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode, it's brought to you by Off the Record. They are killing it over here. I had to use Off the Record myself. Just got a ticket for allegedly doing something I most certainly did not do. And even if I did, I didn't. You feel me? Off the Record is here. I don't plead guilty. I don't pay the fine. I don't go, well, I'll just pay it and move on. I go to Off the Record, and it was so easy. It had been a few years since I had to use Off the Record, but it was as easy as ever. I didn't feel like downloading the app, so I used the web interface, and I went to offtherecord.com/TST. There, I put in some basic information. I uploaded a photo, a scan of the ticket that I received, gave some background information about my interaction with the officer and the circumstances surrounding the pullover, and that is it. Off the Record connected me with a qualified attorney with an excellent record in the jurisdiction where I was pulled over, and that's all I've got to do. I just wait for it to be handled. This particular attorney that I was set up with has a 93% success rate getting those points off of people's records, and so I have very high hopes. And if they don't get the points off my record, I don't have to pay a dime. So it's a risk-free experience, and you guys should do it too. Offtherecord.com/TST, or download the Off the Record app if you're more about that, and then use code TST10 on the Off the Record app. Either method, the web or the app, 10% off all legal services for Off the Record. On today's program, it is a crew show. I have been all weekend out at Coachella for the Power Trip Festival, checking out some metal, and I drove a very metal car, the Cadillac Escalade V. I will give you a review of that car, as well as discuss some of the comings and goings of the musical performances at the Power Trip Festival. Also, I'll give you a little background on the motorcycle I'm riding this week, the Moto Guzzi V100. Zack attended the Petersen Museum Gala, where a major auction took place and was incorrectly reported in many media outlets, but we've got a first-hand account. We discuss the Hispano Suiza and its controversial styling. And we've got some amazing Patreon questions from you fine people at patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Let's go. Celsius was crucial to my concert-going experience this weekend.
How many did you bring or drink? Or were they were they like a sponsor of the show?
No, but there was some real garbage energy drinks sponsoring the show. There's a new do you know that Monster now has a sparkling water? It's like an alcoholic. It's like a Monster version of hard seltzer. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, if there's one thing I'm looking for in a hard seltzer, it's that it tastes like Monster energy drink.
Like, I don't mind if they own the company, but I don't need their branding on it. They should just call it Beach Town or something. It's called like the Beast. The flavor and the energy that you...
It's because a certain type of person felt like a sparkling seltzer was too femme.
Right.
And so they need to drink liquid death water because it looks tough, and Monster Beast seltzer because they can't drink out of a white can because it's too...
Is it too femme? Is the can black?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it caffeinated and alcohol? Is it like Red Bull vodka in a can?
No, it's just sparkling. It's like the Topo Chico one or White. It's like White Claw.
Okay.
But it's Monster.
It's a crowded market in that space right now. Like some of these are going to fizzle and some will survive.
But boy, did they find their audience at the Power Trip Festival.
Well, they probably sponsored it, so they were the only one available.
They did. It was they were giving it away.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I tried it. It's because it was free.
Yeah, because 40 to 50-year-olds, like, we don't all drink Monster.
No, but there's. I saw lots of M's on the back of pickup trucks.
Yeah.
You know,
Corey drinks them every day.
Right next to the Punisher and the Blue Lives Matter was one just a trifecta of.
That's a good point.
Bro stickers.
I see the Monster M 100 times more than I see, maybe honestly 1,000 more than I see a Red Bull sticker on a car.
Right.
No one puts a Red Bull sticker on a car unless they're the little Mini Cooper.
Right, because a Red Bull, it's not like tough looking. The M is like shredded.
Yeah.
It's like a tiger claw.
They won the branding.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, bro. This truck isn't for pussies.
That's weird, though.
I daily drive this Super Duty because it's my lifestyle. Fits my lifestyle. Doesn't fit anywhere else, but it fits my lifestyle.
But does Monster sponsor more off-road racing than Red Bull?
Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Yeah. That is weird.
Yeah. So anyway, here we are. Welcome to the podcast. It's been a morning.
You've had 4 days. You went to a 3-day heavy metal
3
festival.
days of metal, 2 bands a day, full sets.
When did they start? What time?
First set, 6:45 p.m.
Okay.
Second set, 9:45 p.m. Guns N' Roses played from 9:45 until 1:15 a.m. Yeah.
That feels like too much concert.
It was.
You know?
Yes. It was.
I think Appetite for Destruction, one of my favorite albums of all time, front to back,
Sure.
I think is one of the best, most comprehensive albums in terms of hits in a single album of all time. But 3 hours of GNR, I don't know if I could do that.
And actually, you're right. And me and my cousin, I went with my cousins, and he had a different perspective about the GNR than I did. If you were a hardcore GNR, hardcore like I am with Pearl Jam, it was a real connoisseur's set. There were B-sides, there were rarities, there were a couple of covers. If it was the Pearl Jam equivalent, I would have said it was like the best show ever.
Oh, okay.
But me, love GNR, but I pretty much checked out after Use Your Illusion too. You know what I mean? Pretty much checked out in '94. So I would have preferred a real tight 90.
Right.
You know? But yeah, night 1 was Iron Maiden and then Guns N' Roses. Night 2 was Judas Priest and then AC/DC. And night 3 was Tool and then Metallica.
Wow.
It was fucking gnarly.
No wonder they're handing out Monster Energy, because that's like 5 hours of upbeat energy.
Not only,
music.
I mean, yeah. Then, you know, it's a big festival. So there's people, they open the doors at 4. But it's at Coachella, like it's where Coachella was.
Oh wow!
So the day where we parked was about a 40-minute walk. So
40.
Yeah. And I was there with my 2 cousins who are my age, who I hadn't seen in a while. It was great. And then my one cousin brought his 9-year-old son. The 9-year-old son is a metalhead and is like plays in School of Rock, like is one of the best 9-year-olds I've ever seen on a guitar. You know, not a virtuoso, but like gives a shit. Knows was like ready.
That's
was like
cool.
super excited,
right.
But like wanted to be the first one in the door, like a 9-year-old would. And I kept having to be like, the show starts in 3 hours. Like you're not, and he didn't want to miss a thing. He wanted to be at his seats, you know, like an hour before. And I was like, it's not a flight. You won't miss me. But so we all drove together. So and Corey also came. Our friend Corey also came. So we're tailgating in the lot whilst the other guys go in. So, you know, and by the way, my older cousin Rich, disclaimer, 15 years sober. So we could all go together, we could all party, and then he was our designated driver home. So it was a great strategy. So me and Corey and my other cousin were tailgating in the lot, you know, tequilas and sodas. I had a tequila and Celsius at one point, which is basically a Four Loko.
Yeah, that's the medicated version. You're like, I'm just going to make my own stimulant.
A tequila and grape Celsius is a very aggressive beverage.
That is a strategic beverage.
I had it in a Yeti. Like,
did it taste good?
No.
Yeah, it's really medicinal. That's what it is.
Not really. Yeah, it tastes like NyQuil, basically. But charcuterie, the whole deal. I love a charcuterie tailgate. I know you do. You know, and a few edibles, you know, here and there, a few milligrams, and on our way. But you know, you see the first band do a 2-hour set, and it's a headlining band doing a headlining set, and then you go, holy shit, they got another one of those after this? And so you really have to manage your everything. You have to manage your and by the way, we got to the venue, it's 107 degrees. So you got to be chugging waters. You know, we're also having booze. You got to be, you know, eating something.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, people were dropping like flies out there.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and really hot. You know, once the sun goes down in Palm Springs,
90 degrees.
Yeah, mid 80s. Like it was very pleasant when the sun went down. But like, you know, you do that once and you go, oof, and then we to walk back to the car. To then leave, and we were staying in an Airbnb like 35 minutes away. So I went to bed at 2:30 in the morning 3 nights in a row, which is something I haven't done since like college.
That is 4 to 5 hours later than you normally go to.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then because my body's stupid, at 7:30 a.m. I'm like, I'm up now. So it's not like I slept until 10. So I'm running on like 4 or 5 hours of sleep 3 nights in a row, which for me is not a lot.
No, it's not.
So and you know this and. Every day we sort of refined our festival going process a little bit. So the last day we were like a well-oiled machine. I bribed a guy at the parking lot, so we parked the Escalade, the first car from the exit.
Oh, no.
So
okay. Closer
because the night before
yeah.
they had put us in a place where it was like a disaster. It took us hours to get out. So we're like, not again.
Were you then further away? Was the walk further?
The walk was a little further.
Okay.
But the walk was irrelevant compared to the snake of cars at the exit that you did not want to be a part of. The extra 100 yards of walking didn't matter compared to like, how much? You know.
Yeah.
The answer was $20 and 10 milligrams. That was what I had to give that guy, and I was like, "Yep, right there, no problem." He liked the Escalade too. Me, not so much. So, we'll talk about the Escalade in a minute. But Iron Maiden, absolutely incredible. I'm not a huge Iron Maiden fan. Yeah. I'm not a fan, but like, all these guys are in their 60s now. Everyone who performed, except maybe Tool, they might be in their 50s, but everyone else is in their 60s, some even in their 70s. And Iron Maiden was incredible. I mean, just the energy. This motherfucker, Bruce Dickinson, the singer for Iron Maiden, the guy who flies the 747, they have their own 747, he flies it.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Look up Ed Force One. That's Iron Maiden's plane. Ed Force One. And it's 105 degrees outside. This dude is singing in a trench coat for an hour and a half. Yeah, look at that. Ed Force One. You can track when it's in the air.
Well, it's like Flight Tracker, but geez, they still have their own 747. This wasn't a thing in the 80s when they had all the money in the world.
Ed Force One is back. It was repaired in just 10 days. It has its own section of their blog on their ironmaiden.com.
That's incredible. God
so
damn it,
I don't think that can land at Palm Springs though. So I don't know if they landed it at LAX or somewhere else, and then maybe Ontario. Could you land a 747 in Ontario?
I have no idea.
I don't know, but so yeah, Iron Maiden was awesome. Guns N' Roses, when they were on, but Axl's voice was not good. And Axl's haircut is really not good. Axl looks like the singer of Wilson Phillips right now. He looks like Mike Myers playing Axl Rose is what he looks like. Slash is amazing.
Didn't he damage his voice like a few years ago?
I wouldn't be surprised.
He had to recover. I mean, because he's one of those unique singers, genuinely like Mariah Carey, that can hit all these different octaves, which is very strange.
Not on Friday, he couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard.
He clearly had saved up his voice to do certain songs, and he kind of did other songs not. So I mean, you know, bless his heart, but he just, compared to some of the other singers, Judas Priest, Rob Halford from Judas Priest, unbelievable voice. I'm not that into Judas Priest, but fuck me, did they put on a show. Tool did a show that was also, you know, because this was such as this metal festival, a lot of the bands played this sort of connoisseurs sets that they might not have played at like a Coachella or something, you know, or something like that. Fucking AC/DC, first show together in 7 years, destroyed. I mean, just absolutely
all the hits,
destroyed the hits, and some deeper cuts for the super fans. But Brian Johnson was just, you know, for a guy who's gone half deaf and was told to not perform anymore, just incredible, absolutely incredible. Angus Young should be playing Bernie Ecclestone in the documentary. He looks like Bernie Ecclestone now.
He's
but
quite up there in years, but these rock stars are amazing in their ability to just turn on the energy.
Yeah.
And
they all have blood boys. I bet
level.
Backstage there's a fucking line of blood boys back there. One for everybody.
Nutrition, adrenaline, you know, all that stuff. Like,
and then Metallica is just, they're so rehearsed. They're so fucking good. They're so well practiced that everything they do is like it's like perfect.
Sounds like the album.
It's better. I mean, it sounds better because it's got whoever. Lars isn't that great of a drummer. I mean, he's better than fucking I would be. He's been playing for 45 years or whatever. But like compared to Danny Carey from Tool, or compared to the dude who's playing for AC/DC, like nah. But whoever did Lars's drums sound amazing. The most like thundering drums. You know, whoever their techs were amazing. The sound of this place, considering it's 80,000 people in a field.
Yeah.
Wherever you went, the sound was awesome.
That's very good.
It was great. Yeah, it was really, really good.
Because Metallica, like, you listen to our albums, and there are moments where the drums come up really strong, and then guitar, and like maybe that's the mix, but the drums are a prominent part of their song catalog.
Yeah, and when he does a good job, he does a good, like one. You know, the fucking hard double bass part from, like, nailed it. But there was other stuff where it was like, that's not quite right. And I was with Corey, who is a drummer, who just kept, like, looking over me with his eyes, like, rolled.
I've heard that from Christian, too.
Yeah.
Christian James Hand, yeah.
Yeah, like, people who are into drummers are like, yeah, Lars sucks. And, like, the band was amazing despite him. Like, you know, but it was a good time, but very tiring.
That's a lot
of metal.
3 nights in a row.
A lot of metal.
Hard partying, especially for, I'm sure the age demo. Well, actually, what was the age demo there?
Old.
Right.
Old
so
people.
I figured.
Yeah. Old people.
Like we saw Rise Against, and everyone was like, I'll rise for this song, and then I'm going to sit for the next Against. You know?
I'm against rising for half this set.
I got bad knees, so
yeah.
That's a lot.
It was definitely old people and a few young people, but overwhelmingly the contemporaries of the people who were on stage.
Yeah.
You know, for sure.
It's cool. I remember being a kid and my dad going to see the Stones at the Coliseum in San Francisco, and I was so young. I was like, this old band, it's like a really big venue. I don't really get it because I was going to concerts that held like 50 people.
Yeah.
But now we are those people. You know, this is that. Even though the Stones, I think, still tour, which is insane.
The Stones still do tour. Yeah.
Mick Jagger has a lot of kids
80
to pay for it.
Yeah, they're fucking old.
To support it.
And you know, there was nobody my little nephew's age. I mean, like, he was a very unique person in that someone his age is into 80s and 90s metal. That's not really very common. I saw a couple of teenagers here and there, a couple of people in their 20s here and there, but it was overwhelmingly 40, 50 and up was the they were giving, you know, you got to go get your bracelet to get alcohol. They weren't even looking at IDs.
Really?
You just walk up, you stick your wrist out, and they're like, look at this crowd. There's no underage drinking happening here. This is like, first off, the drinks are too expensive. If you're underage, no one's spending $32 on a tequila and soda at 18. But also, like, yeah, they're just like, here's a bracelet, man. Like, whatever. But like, yeah, my body is destroyed. I feel really fat because I ate garbage and didn't work out and drank 3 days in a row. Yeah. And so I feel like absolute dog shit right now. But here we are. And it was a great time. Hanging out with my cousins was great fun. And I, you know, who knows, when will I ever get to see all those bands together again? And what are AC/DC's, that was the first show in 7 years.
Yeah.
So like, might never get to see them play live again. You know,
very true. Yeah. That's a pretty good lineup.
It was cool, and I'm glad I got to hear Iron Maiden and Judas Priest because I wouldn't normally go to an Iron Maiden show or a Judas Priest show, and they were both super impressive. The guitar player from Judas Priest looks like he's out of like the Renaissance fair. He's like beautiful, but like he looks like a knight. They have two guitar players, but it's the blonde guy. Where can we get it?
Trying to find recent pictures.
The guy. It's the guy second from the right. That guy with his hair, like his hair was flowing in like the wind, and he had like he looked like he was doing this gig in between being the Blue Knight at medieval times.
In between jousts. Yeah. He's like, quick, I got to duck over to this other thing real quick.
Yeah.
That's cool. I never listened to them that much. Or Iron Maiden, really, because Iron Maiden was a little bit before Metallica, I think.
What's so weird about Judas Priest is that there are 4, like, famous songs. Breaking the Law, You Got Another Thing Coming. Those songs are, like, they're hard, but they're, like, real pop construction. Whereas it's like those 4 songs were pop construction, and then the rest of their songs were like deep, obscure metal construction.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
So they got really famous for these more mainstream sounds.
Yeah.
And they're like, actually, we really do.
We actually do this other thing over here. Yeah.
I mean, that happens in the music business.
And Iron Maiden, there's 3 or 4 times during the Iron Maiden set where I felt like I was watching Spinal Tap. You know, like where he's telling some story about a fantasy world that this song is about, like, and I'm like, dude, this is a Spinal Tap bit. Like, wow. There's definitely inspiration. Well, I don't know. Did Iron Maiden come out before Spinal Tap? It may not have. One must have influenced the other a little bit. Because he's talking about like Celtic warlords and shit like that. I'm like, this is a fucking Spinal Tap bit, dude. Guys, we got to take a quick break from the action for the Velocity Invitational. This is an amazing event that has wisely chosen to promote what they are doing on the Smoking Tire podcast. It's the 4th annual Velocity Invitational. I didn't realize they'd already done 4. Time really flies. They're going to be up at Sonoma Raceway November 10th to 12th for 3 days of incredible on-track action in the heart of wine country. Wine, cars, Sonoma, I love it. The world's class motorsports and lifestyle event hosts an unparalleled lineup of the rarest cars in the world in a family-friendly and luxurious atmosphere. This year, we're celebrating McLaren's 60th anniversary, and McLaren will have a very large display of McLaren cars from its heritage collection, many of which were never seen in North America. McLaren F1 driver Lando Norris, as well as Aero McLaren IndyCar Series driver Pato O'Ward, Alexander Rossi, and Tony Kanaan will be joining the festivities. All 4 drivers will be participating in autograph sessions and interactive activities throughout the weekend and take to the track in historic McLaren race cars. We've got modern hypercars, historic F1 cars, Can-Am, vintage racing group, the Mustang versus Minis Enduro, and the McLaren historic and modern cars will take on Sonoma's challenging 12-turn road course throughout the weekend. In addition to the great on-track action, attendees 21 and over will enjoy some of the area's finest food and wine in the Taylor Farms Sip and Savor Pavilion. There are a variety of ticket packages and single-day event passes available. You can head over to velocityinvitational.com to check them out. That's velocityinvitational.com. Sonoma Raceway, November 10th to 12th. It is going to be awesome. And we're also brought to you today by Factor. I love Factor, and I need Factor. After 3 days of eating literal festival food garbage, I can't wait to be back on my game and eating healthy again. And you know what helps me with that? It's Factor. I'm sure you got that from this ad read. But I do love Factor. You know why? I get stressed out when I get back from a trip. I got a lot of work to do, a lot of people to see, clients, videos, podcasts to catch up on. You know what I leave out? The time to eat. Eating healthy, eating right, especially when you're busy at work, it takes time. You can't, it's not like fast food, right? You can't just, you got to plan a little more for healthy eating, except with Factor. They send the box of food, right? I choose my kits, right? They got the high protein stuff, the low carb stuff, stuff like cranberry pecan chicken, apple Dijon pork chops. It's ready in just 2 minutes in the microwave, and I am good to go. I'm having a healthy meal, not dedicating a lot of time, right? I can keep my energy up throughout the day because it's effortless, wholesome meal that I'm just eating on my time, and I don't need a whole lot of planning to do it. The food is just there in the fridge. If you're looking for calorie-conscious options, they've got the dietitian-approved Calorie Smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. If you need an extra boost to support your wellness goals and feel your best, try the Protein Plus meals with 30 grams of protein or more per serving. This October, get yourself some Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Just choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered directly to your door, ready in 2 minutes, no prep, no mess, super easy. Head to factormeals.com/tire50. You got that? Factormeals.com/tire50, and then use code TIRE50 to get 50% off. That's code TIRE50 at factormeals.com/tire50 to get 50% off. And now, back to the show. So I took the Escalade V out there. I wanted a car that could hold 6 people, a bunch of stuff, be good for a road trip, be good for tailgating, and most importantly, be something that our audience was interested in, because most 6 or 7 passenger vehicles our audience is not interested in.
Right, but if they have lots of horsepower,
they're a
little more curious.
Right. The Escalade V, it has the LT5 supercharged engine, and it's really fucking loud. It's really all about the cold start. That's what it is. It sounds like a Z06 when you start, or an old ZR1 when you start it up. Everyone thinks it's got exhaust on it. And like, I'm a little torn because as a car guy, as a gearhead, big ass supercharged motor, sounds like that, like kind of gotta love it, right? Mm-hmm. But as someone who like believes in like, I don't know,
climate science?
Yeah, I mean that, but like the fuel economy actually wasn't even that bad. I averaged 16.8 total over my. I drove about 450 miles, mostly highway, but also idling around some parking lots, a little bit of traffic, not much city. Highway and parking lots. That's pretty much what we did. So the fuel economy wasn't that horrible, actually. I was surprised. It was like basically double what I got in the TRX. So at least there's that, because it's got regular ass wheels and tires.
Right.
It doesn't even have like giant rims. Like I think those are 21s maybe, but they're not like oversized rims. But the problem with this car is that the extra 250 horsepower over the regular Escalade is basically useless. There's nowhere where you, and I just mean that, like, there's nowhere where you use it. Like, when are you going flat in an Escalade? How often is that really happening? Like, it's got a bunch of torque, and you're driving people around. You're not hitting the canyons. You're not even going to you're not going to the drag strip with this thing. So like, okay, it makes all this noise, and it's got good torque. But I only put my foot to the floor like once or twice, and only to do like a, hey, watch this. I never needed it. It didn't actually get me anything.
Well, how do you feel about this compared to the Trackhawk? Because the Trackhawk, we drove on road courses, and it actually impressed us with, it feels like a heavy lifted GTR in a way.
Right.
It had more of the comprehensive dynamics. Does this have that, or do you get to test it?
No,
okay.
This is absolutely a regular ass Escalade that doesn't have nearly enough brakes for its power. The brakes are awful. It has a bunch of gadgets. This thing was $155,000, by the way. Ooh. $155,000. It had all the gadgets. It had the rear seat entertainment. It had the upgraded stereo. It has the heads-up display, the night vision, the augmented reality screen, the massage front seats, heated and cooled everything, air suspension, height adjustable air suspension, the tow package. I think it had pretty much everything you get on one of these. I think. There weren't any blank buttons anywhere, let's just say that. But like, it just, it's like, it's huge, and it doesn't, the hood is so high that your front visibility is not that good. Your side and rear visibility is not that good, and it's all augmented by cameras and electronics and stuff. But like, I just don't like those things as a substitute for like regular ass visibility. Mm-hmm. And it, like, I know why they made it, and the thing that it looks like, it is. You know, it's an Escalade that goes fast. Can you look up the 0 to 60 and the quarter-mile time for this? Mm-hmm. Because I suspect, here's what it will be. Fast, but not that fast. I haven't looked this up yet. I'm writing a piece for Road and Track, and so 4.7 seconds to 60 miles an hour. So that's a motor trend. So, yeah. Okay, on the one hand, for an Escalade, that's fast. For a sports car, not that fast.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Well, so, I think we have to compare it to stuff like, you know, Urus or Trackhawk or other,
not that fast compared to those either.
Right, those are in the threes.
Yeah, they're in the threes.
So, but this seems to be like this weird thing where sometimes we drive these super SUVs and they handle, like, they are giant sports cars. And we go, okay, that's what we want from an SUV. But if someone doesn't care about those things, some of them can be like a little too stiff or the rims are too tall. So is this going, all right, if you want the horsepower number to brag and you want to have straight line speed, that's okay. Yeah. But does it ride comfortably at least? Is it more comfortable on the road than Urus?
Than the regular one? Oh,
no.
Than an Urus?
Than other super SUVs.
Kinda. I mean, on the one hand, like, yeah, it's kind of plush. On the other hand, it's not that plush. It's okay. It's smooth. My cousins who are not car people were very impressed by it.
Right.
They were impressed by the gadgets. They were impressed by the sound. They were impressed by certain things. They're not car people, and I get that. I was looking for a little more nuance, and I was not that impressed. It's not fast enough that I'm impressed. You know, 4.7 to 60 for a vehicle with 700 horsepower is not that fast.
It's a full second behind the Bentley Bentayga S, which has slightly less horsepower.
And the S is a V8.
Oh, the Bentayga S.
The Bentayga S, that's an 8. That's a V8.
Oh, yeah, that goes 0 to 60 in 3.5.
Yeah, so that's not even the 12. That's right. The V8. So it's, and also, like, even on a highway, like a highway pass, you know, you want to, it's got the gearbox has to do a lot of work. It kind of drops 2 or sometimes 3 gears, and it hunts for gears a bit. It is not a sporty thing. It's like a muscle truck.
Yeah, it's a train. It's a very powerful train. It gets up to speed and then and it has a very formidable appearance. I mean, it's kind of cool looking.
But compared to the regular one, for the price difference, the power difference, it's not that impressive of a difference, and it doesn't really serve any kind of practical purpose, because most of the time, whether you're in an Escalade or a Suburban or a Tahoe, the regular one has enough power and torque that you're driving around half throttle.
Yeah.
You know, like, I was even looking for excuses. We were 6 up in the back, and I'm going on the merge on the entrance ramp, and I'm like, this is going to be the one where I go flat. But there's like a car in front of me or something, so I can't. I'm merging onto a highway. There weren't even that many places to go flat. And yeah, I get it. In a Porsche Turbo S, there's not a lot of places to go flat either. Yeah, but this thing is like, enormously heavy. I will say it is slightly, you know, it was a regular one, not a super long, not the ESV one. So it wasn't like horrible to park. You know, it wasn't like offensively huge like a TRX where I actually felt guilty.
Well, the
taking
problem
up
there is
space.
the width.
The width,
you know,
right,
I mean,
yes.
It's a huge truck lengthwise, but the width is where that really gets in the way.
Right. So this was the same width as all the other GM half-ton stuff. It's still big, and like it was comfortable, but like it wasn't more comfortable than like a Sienna would have been, you know? Oh yeah,
of course.
And
I mean, I think this is a problem we have across the board is the quote base cars for the most part are so quick. 911s, we talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
They have turbo engines. They have all the torque in the world. You don't need the You don't need the turbo. If you're not doing a very specific number of things, the turbo is kind of unnecessary unless you want to demonstrate you can afford the turbo. I think this same thing. You want to pull up into the parking lot where other people have Escalades, and you go, I have the V.
You know, that's interesting because other than the badge, there's really almost no way to tell. Guys, we got to take one quick break for Brooklinen. I love Brooklinen. They sent me a whole slew of stuff. They sent me sheets. They sent me duvet cover. They sent me pillowcases. You know what happens at it's my house, my bed, as it were. I'm leaving this open for interpretation. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the fact that my wife's hot, I'm cold. Or vice versa. Vice versa. Scratch that, reverse it. She's hot, I'm cold. We got the Brooklinen sheets, the Brooklinen pillowcases. It's temperature regulating, right? The sheets are soft. They're smooth, they're nice, they're beautiful colors. We actually, for the first time ever, have some variety in color on our bed. Our sheets have always either been all white or all blue, but we're mixing and matching with the pillowcases, getting some color in there. It is a good time, right? But these sheets, these Brooklinen sheets, they regulate really well. So like when I'm hot and I'm under there and she's cold and she's under there, same blankets, same sheets, no problem. It's great. Brooklinen's got a whole option of sheet from linen to flannel to accommodate all kinds of sleepers. Cool, hot, everything in between. Limited edition colorway drops. Brooklinen keeps you well rested and looking fresh. Use the old sheets for your ghost costume for Halloween and upgrade to Brooklinen's seasonal picks for linens as well as the top of bed, the bathroom, and more. Brooklinen makes some nice stuff, and my bed looks better than ever. It's no trick. Brooklinen's best-selling linens are sure to curb those seasonal scaries this fall. Visit in-store or online at brooklinen.com. Brooklinen.com. Use code TIRE for $20 off your order of $100 or more. That's brooklinen.com. Code TIRE, $20 off your order at brooklinen.com. No, it draws no attention until you cold start it. That's the only way.
I've heard it's like one of the loudest, like in terms of decibels.
Dude,
it's being listed in magazines now, like in the top
cold
15.
start is so loud. And you know what it's great for? The range on the clicker is pretty far. And so to help you find it in the parking lot, I remote cold started it, and I was like, it would go rah, and I go, it's over there. Car's over there.
That's how
it's like setting off the alarm.
Yeah. Okay.
So some notes on it. So it has this thing called Conversation Assist. I think the regular Escalade has it too. Have you seen this?
I've heard of other cars having it.
It's got mics and speakers in the car.
Yeah.
And so it takes your voice and broadcasts it in the back.
The Hyundai Telluride had this
really?
too. Yeah.
It's cool, but also disconcerting because it makes it sound like you're in a diving bell a little bit.
Is there any lag to it? I mean, because I like the idea.
It makes it sound echoey. It's an echo.
Oh, okay.
It makes it sound like echo. So the idea is like my 9-year-old nephew is back in the third row, and if you turn it on, he could speak at normal volume and you'd hear him in the front, and vice versa without turning your head around.
Right.
And fortunately, there's a button for it on the steering wheel to quickly turn it on and off because you don't want to leave it on all the time. It'd be a great way for chauffeurs to eavesdrop on their clients. Perfect.
But in theory, I like it because in long cars like that, if you're in the back, you are removed from the conversation in the front, and vice versa.
Yeah.
If you have kids, like maybe the tech needs to catch up with the. With
it wasn't that the tech didn't work. It just makes it echoey. It sounds, you know, there's a it's not seamless. You know there's something.
That's what I'm saying. That needs to be refined.
Yeah. But it was kind of neat. The stereo did bang in this fucking thing. It had a bump in stereo. It's AKG, which I'd never heard of before, but it sounded really nice. We tested it with some Tool. Let's see what else. And what?
AKG Acoustics has been around since 1947.
Oh wow!
So they're an Austrian company.
Oh. The quality of everything was only okay. At 80 grand, the quality was acceptable. This was 155 grand, and I know this is as expensive as these things get. But like the tailgate, when the tailgate was up, the part of the tailgate that surrounds like the quote underside of it, like where the button is to close it, was having like stress cracks in it. Oh, this thing had 3,000 miles on it.
Oh, that's not good.
And like the leather didn't feel super upscale leather. It felt nice, but not like that Napa good stuff, and not. It was only okay, and like the lower parts of the seats were plastic. There's still some plastic in places, and it's all touch screens, which, you know, that kind of stuff is techie, but not necessarily super upscale anymore. Analog is upscale now, right? So I don't. It didn't. Again, my non-car cousins thought it was very nice. Neither of them had. That was the most expensive car that either of them have ever been in. Right. So they didn't have. But I drove a Bentley. Granted, it was twice the price, but I've driven $150,000 Mercedes and Audis and BMWs, all of which are nicer. True. You know, this was within 30 grand of the Alpina XB7.
Ooh, and that has a third row.
Third row, Alpina.
Okay.
And even the Maybach. The Maybach.
That thing. That did not have a third row because of the champagne storage system.
Because of the leaning back seats. Yeah, but we're still talking super SUVs. Yeah. And both of those, I mean, 30 grand isn't nothing, but it's within 20%. It's not double. It's not triple. Yeah. It's 20% premium for a much, much nicer product.
Well, and if you got, I mean, I think a BMW X7 probably has a third row. Let's see what that costs.
I think they're like 120, but you don't get to brag.
Starts at 81. X7 starts at 81.
But you can probably get, there's probably a couple engines. You probably get the faster, the V8 or something.
Right. I think you could land at 150 and have a lot of stuff, is what I'm saying. So there's a lot of options in the third row, $150,000 range.
So like, you know, if you're a Corvette super fan, if you're somehow a Cadillac super fan, but I think when this thing came out, a lot of people were super like yeehaw America about it. And the fact is, other than that angry-ass cold start, I don't think all the extra power of the V gets you all that much.
Yeah, but I think there are markets, you know, either outside of major cities or, you know, places where trucks are like the big thing, where domestic products are the more popular choice, that this is the TRX limousine. You know,
yeah, but you know what it's not? It's not a Blackwing truck.
Well, if it doesn't have the dynamics, I mean, the Blackwing...
It doesn't have the dynamics. Yeah, it doesn't...
What shines about the Blackwing is the handling, the braking, the steering feel, all of it. Like GM's chassis engineers with cars are amazing and brilliant. And this doesn't have that then.
This is just the same truck, just with a giant motor in it. Yeah. And I'm sure the engineers had to change some things. But from the driver's seat, it's the same Escalade, just with a giant engine in it. You know, so... I'm going to write something about it for Road and Track. Super Cruise, still good. I like the Super Cruise. I like that it's easy to activate. It is very easy to use, and it tells you when it's going to work and when it's not going to work, and only works in certain places where people who are very smart have deemed it safe. But yeah, it didn't blow me away. But I've got a new motorcycle to test. this week and next. I don't think there's a photo on the gram, but it's the Moto Guzzi V100, which is a very cool bike. I put about 90 miles on it. Yeah, that's it. The V100 Mandello. It is it's a really good looking bike, and it's a sport. It's an upright sport tourer that can also be used as a city bike. It's a V-twin, but like all Moto Guzzis, it's turned, quote, sideways. So it then has a drive shaft like a car and a differential like a car.
So the V is perpendicular to your direction of movement,
yes,
right?
Yeah, the heads go out sideways.
Cool.
It's really comfortable. It's about 115 horsepower and 71 torques. I don't know what it weighs. It's not a super featherweight, but it's not crazy heavy. And it has, it's actually, according to them, and I'm not smart enough to argue with them, it's the first bike with active Aero. So
what?
So the windscreen, you've got the windscreen, which in this photo you're showing is in the lowered position. It power rises with speed
to block more wind.
Okay. And then you can kind of see it in that photo. That photo's of full LED lighting, but you see above the bird logo, there's a sort of oval-shaped thing. Yeah, the mouse is on it right now. So that panel pops up hydraulically, or maybe electronically, but powered. As you increase the speed, that panel pops up to kick wind around your body.
Oh,
so
that's
it's
cool.
not for downforce. It's to make it behave on the highway like it's a bike with a front fairing, but it doesn't actually have a front fairing.
So there's less buffeting on the
Yeah.
right. That's cool.
So like I got on this thing and immediately went on the highway, and I found it to be super, super comfortable and easy to ride 80, 90 miles an hour in a wind without a full fairing.
That's pretty cool.
It's really cool. So
my bike had a very small fairing when I had it, and the amount of wind that just moves you around is so frustrating.
Well, I'm actually looking for a motorcycle that I can ride on those 50, 60-mile trips. If I have to go to Simi, if I have to go to Pasadena, if I have to go to East LA, if I've got to go to Long Beach, like somewhere where it might be too annoying to take a car, but where 30, 40 minutes on the freeway on an upright motorcycle or my Vespa is like exhausting because I'm like a big sail. And so riding this, I was like, oh, this is like easy. Like this is nice. But at the same time, it doesn't actually have the big fairing, which I don't want.
Right, because they don't look very good.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about this, and I've only ridden it I rode about 90 miles the first day, and I found it to be unbelievably comfortable, and it's got a bunch of torque for making passes in sixth gear. You don't have to downshift or anything. It's got good brakes, and I don't have the S. There's a V100S, and the S has a quick shifter and Olin shocks. So if I was going to buy one, I'd probably want to buy an S because I like the quick shifter and Olin shocks are great. But is there a thing that shows? Oh yeah, so that's the thing popped up. Okay. It doesn't pop up that far.
Right.
It only goes up maybe 3.5 inches, but it does make a difference. And the thing is super, super smooth.
Cool. Yeah, it's really open. Cool. And it's got a nice orange under it.
Yeah.
Cool. So.
And it's good because Moto Guzzi to me is sort of one of those companies that's been building like the same kind of old school bike for a while. Like the V7 range has been around for a long time, and they're nice, but they're not like impressive to me. This one I rode and I was like, oh shit, this feels new. This is a new thing.
Because you went on a Moto Guzzi trip.
Yeah, for the V7 Classic.
Like the bike, you could have said this is a 1984 or something. Yeah, and it would look in place.
Yeah, this feels like a new bike. So that's exciting.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I'll be talking about that on a later show. Actually, once I ride a little more.
Quick self-plug, we talked about it on the Pro Show, the Chevy ZR2, but my review is up on roadandtrack.com.
Oh.
It's available, so if people want to hear more about that truck and me flying through the air, that's up there, and then there's going to be a video about that, or a review, in probably a few weeks.
Yeah.
So,
It's funny. There was a lot of ZR2s out there. A lot of off-road broy trucks in the power trip community in the desert. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Actually, in general, though, pretty disappointed with the parking lot, the quality of the vehicles in the parking lot. I mean, granted, a lot of rental cars because a lot of people are flying in, but like, other than pickup trucks, not really much to be seen out there. I had a lot of time to kill, so in the parking lot, so I took quite a few walks.
I have not seen that many cool cars in Palm Springs. There's always some cool old stuff, and there's a dealership that sells like funky classics, cruiser classics, not hot rod muscle car stuff. But otherwise, it's a lot of gold Camrys and crossovers and whatever.
There's a couple collector car storage places out there that have some real heavy hitter stuff, typically in those communities that are up against the mountain. In the back there.
I mean, I've heard there's some like warehouses there.
There are, and of course there's like thermal,
deep, yeah.
But those cars don't leave the track; they just live there. You know what I saw in the parking lot though? First time I saw a set of MOMO tires. So you know MOMO's making tires? I thought they were fake. I was like, look at this guy. He's got fake MOMO tires. But then I ran it by Vinny, and he was like, nope. When some conglomerate bought the,
wow.
Is that it?
I guess.
Yeah. MOMO tires. You can actually get a MOMO tire now. Did you know that?
No.
I could have swore it was fake, and I almost posted something on the internet about fake MOMO tires, and then he was like, no, that's real.
I mean, it'd be hard to like print a fake, like a brand on a tire.
Well, no, it wouldn't. Yeah, but if it was like, you know, China, fuck your trademark situation.
Oh, yeah, that could definitely happen.
Yeah.
SEMA, which is coming
No,
up.
not like the individual.
I thought you meant like someone engraved.
No, like they're selling
Pepsi tires.
No, I thought it was a trademark theft fake, but no, it's real.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So there's that. Yeah.
Speaking of tires, shout out to Vredestein. They invited me to the Petersen Gala on Saturday where they honored Chip Ganassi and Bobby Rahal as like honorary, you know, they give him trophies and things like that.
Did you meet Bobby? He's all right.
I didn't meet either of them. They were extremely. There were
a lot of people,
hundreds of people there. It was a huge thing.
Yeah.
But both of them have had such amazing careers, and like, you know, Ganassi's one of the only people to I think he's the only team owner to win like 6 of the 7 major events on Earth.
That's probably true.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
When you look at the actual list of like all the different disciplines that they've both won in, but him specifically, it's like, you know, touring car and Le Mans and NASCAR and Indy and F1, you know, and it's just all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I saw the
not F1.
You texted me about the CyberTruck auction there, and I
saw
were
some funny auctions.
Well, I saw how bad the you know, everyone else fucked it up. Like you said, you told me that it was like an early VIN thing. But other people reported it as VIN number 1. Other people reported it as if it was a public auction, like a Barrett Jackson, where it was really just for the people that were in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I read what they put on the screen, and they were like, here's lot number whatever.
Yeah. You were like literally in the room.
I was in the room, and I didn't look into it any further, but it just said early VIN CyberTruck. And I was like, so they're not selling one that they have. They're selling an early allocation, basically.
Yeah.
And the price was bananas. And they also sold like a private trip to Palm Springs to look at someone's crazy collection. And they sold some cool stuff in Europe and things like that to raise money for the museum. But the Cybertruck, like I started to text you, you won't believe what this sold for, when it was just over half of what it actually went for. But I think it's publicly known. Like
it
went
$400 grand,
$400,000,
which is a lot, but also not a lot.
In what realm is that not a lot?
Well,
for something that
compared to like even you said, the VIN 001 of the Hummer truck, which was over $1 million.
And I think all of these are tax write-offs.
Of course they are.
But this one, I guess
all of this is a tax
technically
scam.
A charity.
Yeah.
So
everything over the MSRP of the vehicle is tax deductible
because it's a charity to a museum, right?
So you get to floss, you get to buy some access, and it's tax deductible. And you are only and the amount that is not tax deductible is the MSRP.
Maybe we're just seeing the price delta between a car that exists and doesn't, because like the Corvettes or first gen Hummer, whatever. Sorry, VIN number 1.
Yeah.
Those are usually brought on a stage.
They're sitting there.
Here's the thing you're buying for $1 million. And everyone goes, I got the first one. It says 001. And this was an undetermined VIN number for a truck that's been delayed
also
for
true.
3 years.
And it's not VIN 1. If it was VIN 1, it probably would
go for more.
Yeah.
But I was shocked just because.
An undetermined VIN. Yeah, you're basically paying for an allocation.
Yeah.
And an undetermined VIN is very, very gray.
Yeah.
Grayer than unpainted stainless steel panels.
Especially from that company. Like, you get number 2?
Yeah.
17? I mean, what is... At what point do you just get a truck?
Yeah.
And you're like,
imagine
is this
the quality of an early VIN of that vehicle. Imagine what a piece of shit that thing is going to be. Oof.
Well, I've heard that of other OEMs though, where they're like, oh, we delivered the first customer one of these.
Yeah.
And then that one has to immediately go back to the factory to get fixed or refined because they're like, well, we had to get it out the door to meet a deadline to go racing or something.
Yeah.
So it does happen in other offices, but that was a little bit shocking.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in that crowd though, they'll find some sucker to fucking pay for that. But
well, someone needs a write-off.
Yeah.
But
well, that's what I mean. That's what the Petersen Museum is. I mean, it's just a tax thing.
Yeah,
I'm donating this car to the museum. Like, all right, cool.
If you donate your car to the museum, can you take it back, like, or drive it around if you want to?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. As long as it's not like out in an exhibit. Yeah, I think you're not signing the title over.
Okay, interesting.
Or maybe you are. I don't know. But they'll probably still let you fucking drive it anyway.
Huh? Who knows? Well, anyway,
I don't know, and that's not unique. I'm not crapping on the Petersens.
That's
art museums, other car museums. It's how the rich don't pay taxes.
A lot of nice stuff there.
Yeah. What were some of the other auctions for anything interesting?
There was a 4-day trip to Spain to drive the Hispano Suiza EV, which I started to text you about.
That is a truly heinous looking.
It is a really bad looking car, and like, you can drive it on the track, but you get to stay in a castle, and it was with like a couple of people. But the car is so odd looking.
Yeah, when Jens was on the show last week, and he was like, "Nah, anybody can start the car company with the EV." My first thought was the Hispano Suiza. It's awful.
It's a bit ungainly.
No, it's like a beluga whale. It's got a real.
It's just got a couple different eras in the design.
It's not. Oh God! Look. I mean, just look at that thing.
Just show me what the car looks like. Good Lord.
The main issue with this car is that it actually looks cheap. Like, it is expensive and looks cheap.
Yeah, the black the white one looks better. I think that this is like their show car, which is black with kind of bronze copper accents.
The first one they were showing was purple, and it was heinous looking.
But this is it's just not a good looking car. And I mean, people are taking swings like, what's going to look cool in the future? This is not it for me. It's just too many angles and weird things.
It's terrible. Yeah, it's not good at all.
And if it's electric and maybe they bought the stuff from Ramat's, if it feels like lots of other electric cars, you got to make it drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah.
So. And that was one of the things.
It's a weird one, because Hispano Suiza is a brand that so few people give a shit about. Only within the circle of Pebble Beach concourse. No one else really cares about Hispano Suiza. Right.
Nobody else knows about it.
Yeah,
it's very obscure.
It's an odd brand to buy the rights to and bring back, only to make this.
I wonder what's more challenging for a car, to relaunch a, let's call it dormant brand, or to start a new one like Zenvo, just as examples. Because in one you're having to remind the audience, and you have this built-in cachet. Maserati does this a lot, but they've existed the whole time. But they're like, remember when we raced cars 70 years ago? But I wonder if that's harder than just going, we're a new thing, like Koenigsegg. Koenigsegg was like, we're a new thing, we have to prove ourselves, and we make our name on our own merit. I don't know. I wonder which would be more challenging.
I would rather start from scratch than bring back a brand that's been dead for 90 years, for sure. For sure.
I would too, because then you're freer.
Yeah.
You don't have to try to make the new thing fit the old thing.
Yeah. Like they kept the branding on this car, the grill, like the font.
Looks like a Chrysler 300 grill.
Well,
size-wise.
That notwithstanding, it looks like like I can't unsee that now. And the fact that it's got like the wings on it too. But the script, the Hispano Suiza script, like that was written across radiators in the 20s. You know,
back when cursive was awesome. And now,
back when they used to force us to read cursive,
it looks like a sign for a diner, you know, like a really good pie company. And that's
it looks like I'm going to buy a loaf of bread from them.
Yeah, especially with the car being like angular hypercar, serious face, you know, it's very angry and aggressive. And then it's
weird because the front of that car looks like it's trying to be aggressive, but none of the other angles are aggressive.
The other ones are softer, like Citroën almost.
Yeah.
Which is, and especially the profile, the kind of, I've got to find a photo of it.
It's just such an ugly car.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you could do that vacation.
Yeah. I don't know what all these.
There we go.
Oh, that's a horrid angle. The side 90-degree profile. What an ungainly looking thing.
Good.
Like you'd almost think like the concept car was 4 feet longer and a foot lower.
Yeah.
And that design could have worked.
Because the ratio of fender to wheel is just odd.
Yeah. Fender to wheel, fender to greenhouse, door panel to greenhouse. It's not rule of thirds like Aston Martin.
You know how a pretty car looks like it's stretched over the frame? This is not that.
This
looks
plopped
like it was placed
on
top of the frame.
Yeah. It's awful.
But anyway, you could go.
Those wheels do not look like $1 million. Those wheels look like they're like the wheels that Bugatti puts on the cars when they send the real wheels to France to get new tires put on them.
They kind of look like the ones Rolls-Royce used though, which was a good design for Rolls-Royces. On
a big slab-sided car, not on a tiny little curvy thing.
Yeah. Weird. Well, I wonder how many they need to sell every year.
More than they will. What's the over-under on how long this brand lasts?
Oh, well, what are interest rates right now? And when was it relaunched?
I bet they don't. I bet they don't deliver 50 cars and they go under. Founded in 1904.
But yeah.
What were we? How long? Oh, you were asking how long they made cars before?
No, I was curious, like when the relaunch began.
Oh, so like a year ago?
It's not even. Revival in 2019 at the Geneva Auto Show.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been 4 years. And someone also tried to relaunch it a bunch of times. Yeah. I mean, that's to be fair, Aston Martin has done that a lot, but they've done it a little more successfully. But they have died and been rescued.
Were they ever fully dead?
6 times.
Aston? There's been fully.
I don't know if they've been fully dead. They've been sold a lot.
Yeah, sold for sure. But I think they've had continuous production since like the '60s. I don't know if there's ever been a time during then when they weren't when they weren't building something. Right? They never went like fully out of business and were brought back, right? I mean, not since like in the modern period. I don't think they ever totally went out of business.
No, you're right. Yeah, they were a great relay team. A lot of handoffs.
They're the baton.
Yeah, they're the baton, but they kept going.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. Well, I did a lot of driving this weekend, and Zach did a lot of learning. But let's see what you guys have to say. The Patreon in full effect. If you want to ask us questions for the show, if you want to listen to the live show, if you want to get an ad-free experience, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast is where you do it. And we were a couple days late on our September Pro show. Apologize to our fans out there. The travel in September caught up with us a little faster, and so we recorded a Pro show last week, and the Pro drivers do have access to that extra 9th podcast each month. Big Ben is looking for a $50,000 to $60,000 one-car solution, 4 doors, Pacific Northwest, a daily commuter, and a weekend toy. I didn't hear you suggest them, but the early Charger Hellcat seems to fit the bill. or a Civic Type R or Integra Type S, an F80 M3, the old Audi RS3, something else you'd pick. Occasional snow. Would you drive an early Hellcat in the snow?
I mean, I would, but I'm a moron. With snow tires, it would be such a waste of horsepower with snow tires. It'd be funny, but it wouldn't actually be a very good car.
If you could get an Integra Type S, an Integra Type S versus the F80 M3. Now that's a tough one. It mainly comes down to the maintenance. The Integra Type S is great. I'd rather drive the M3.
Except the F80 was really stiff. It rode real stiff. The Integra rides better. Yeah. But I just think the F80 is one of the best looking. Yeah. It's like that was a great confluence of aesthetic design and power right before it all went to shit. Yeah, that was a pinnacle. Cars and Bids, I look up some comps on F80s because Cars and Bids, they said that they, when I was on their podcast last week, they said those have settled a little bit. So you can actually get into a pretty nice one for a pretty reasonable. They had a 31,000 mile lightly modded convertible M4. Oh yeah. Manuel, right? Yeah, it went for 40 grand. I mean, so you could get into an F80 M3 for less money than an Integra Type S and have a lot more car. Yeah. Save a little bit for maintenance. Yeah, save some for the maintenance. There's nothing I'd really pick over that, but I do like the Integra Type S Such a lot. Good car. Yeah. Alejandro said, would it be okay to bring a hoopty to one of the car shows that WCCS hosts? Yeah, sure. There were plenty of things there that were not fancy, polished, high-dollar cars. Like there were some cool. Yeah. People brought some cool stuff that they built. The Brecky Car Club ones, you have to send in an application and be approved to get into the lot. And there was a bunch of other stuff parked just outside. Well, they also let in some stuff that wasn't the most finely polished, but they probably, like you said, they approved it for a reason. Yeah, that was slightly curated, but that was their event. So if it's my event, yeah, bring whatever. I don't care. I say bring anything. Yee GT. Uncle Sam has sent me to New Jersey looking for a new daily. Is there something I need to know about that statement? What does that mean? The government sent him to New Jersey? Like an agent? Or did the government declare war on New Jersey? Like Uncle Sam needs you. Right. He's under 20,000 ideally. Lexus GX seems like the logical choice, but it seems a bit boring. I've been thinking about 80s and 90s 4x4s to be a little more interesting. I already have a Fox body as a fun car. If you get a GX for 20 right now, that's not a rust bucket. That's impressive because they were up for a while and got real expensive. Here's the thing about 80s and 90s 4x4s. They drive like straight up garbage. I mean, they just all do. The best ones drive like the best one is like a 96 Bronco and it drives like garbage. They're not bad. I drove Mustos. Like it's just, at least it goes straight. Yeah. Wagoneers drive like shit. Bronco's okay. Yeah. I mean, they're a style statement, but I personally wouldn't. If it comes down to a daily, a Bronco, or a Blazer, or the only one I could think of that maybe I'd want to drive is like a 2001 or 2002, or maybe it was like the end of the 90s or early 2000s. The two-door Tahoes. Like I think it was Tahoe Sport or something. Those were kind of cool. They look cool. Kind of like they're very hard to find. A great one is expensive. The stuff from that generation, it just drives decent. It tracks straight. It stops. There's like the Tahoe has no steering feel. It's overpowered. You know, the green gauges back then, but like it's fine. It's totally fine. I think the Lexus GX would feel like it'll feel like a different league from all of the vehicles we mentioned. Yeah. And so if you're driving it every day and you want it to be super comfortable and not have to fix it, I mean, that's the one you go with. Yeah. Two-door Tahoe is cool, though. The two-door Tahoe is cool. But, like, I wouldn't go 80s. I'd go mid-90s to early 2000s, probably. The 80s is a bad time for cars. Late 80s got okay, but we hadn't really figured out emissions yet. Not good. Yeah. Not good. Maybe if you could find a nice, like, Cherokee Sport,
like a 4-liter Cherokee Sport, like a 99 to 2001 or something like that. Again, tough to find one.
Dude, the late 90s Grand Cherokees, must have also owns one of those.
Yeah.
Those drive pretty close to like modern crossover. They don't handle as well, but they ride quiet, they're smooth, they're small enough to park. That's a really easy, livable vehicle.
But he would probably think that was boring, too. That's an invisible car.
That's true.
Nobody's looking at that car.
Yeah,
he's talking about something that would be cool. I would say two-door Tahoe. Great mate. Shopping for a 718 GT4. If you were planning on doing 6 to 10 hour days in the twisties, which seats would you prefer? I mean, I say comfort seats.
I agree. 6 to 10 hours is a lot.
Yeah, this dude says comfort seats are non-negotiable in my search, but friends are saying buckets are a must-have.
Do your friends own this car?
Are they going to make payments on this car?
Yeah.
Your friends can suck a dick with your seat choice.
You just if they own the car or another Porsche, then okay, they have grounds and that they have some credibility. But if they're just looking at spec sheets and they're like, well, these look cool. The bucket's like, yeah, they're cool for a little bit.
It also depends on your body.
That's true.
Like that's a one-shape seat, and so like, does it fit you or not? If you're the right size and shape person, then it's better than for other people. Mm-hmm. I use my car as a car, so like no buckets for me.
I couldn't do 10 hours in the 911 ST with the buckets.
Yeah.
I did 3.5, and I was like starting to get annoying. Just no lumbar support.
Yeah,
and I need that. So sit in them.
Yeah. Flannel Bob says, do you remember or know anything about the vehicles your grandfather owned and drove? I have an affinity for mid to late 80s Ford pickups and 1950 Ford Tudor coupes for this very reason. I don't know. My grandfather had a lot of cars, but the story that was always told was that my grandfather had a Thunderbird, like a 50, I don't know if it was a 55 or a 57, but it was a first-gen Thunderbird. And my grandma used to talk about how it had so much power that it could go up the hill at East Clinton Road was it East Clinton? Or no, it could go up the hill and I believe it was Knickerbocker Avenue in New Jersey in idle. That was it. You didn't have to give it any gas. It could go up in idle. And that is a big hill. I don't think I believe them. If it did, the carb was probably the idle.
That's a high idle.
It's a fast idle.
That's like 1,500 RPM.
Yeah, probably needed some adjusting. But I do know he had a 50s Thunderbird, and that's not why I would like one. I like them because they're cool. But that's the only car.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, I don't know what my grandpa drove, and by the time I was old enough to like exist, he was like in a wheelchair anyway.
Mine drove a like 78 Cadillac Eldorado, white convertible, red interior, curb feelers, huge, gigantic car. And he drove it until he scraped the entire side down the garage, and then we're like, you can't drive anymore. But he drove that thing for 20 years, 30 years. Like he bought it new, and that was the last car he ever owned. Yeah,
my other grandparents, the one with the Thunderbird, that was my dad's dad. My mom's parents down in Florida bought a Cadillac Brougham in 1987 and an Oldsmobile like Delta 88 in like the early 80s, and those were the last cars they ever bought. Like up until they died in like the late 90s, like those were their cars. And I remember like them being, when I was a kid, I was like, these cars are shit boxes. Like these are
I thought the Caddy was cool.
Not good cars.
Like cool is the definition of cool, but I remember wondering why something with a V8 felt so slow.
Yeah.
I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
What's under the hood? I didn't get it.
Yeah. Ryan says, what are some cars you love test driving but would not want to own based on things like what it's like to drive or quality and not considering value? I enjoyed my 3 days with the Senna, and then I was very happy to give that back.
Yeah, that was a little rough. I mean, 720 would be awesome to own, but I do worry about the maintenance if I ever was in that position. I love test driving. Ariel Adam.
Yeah. I really enjoyed my 45 minutes with the BAC Mono. Have no desire to own anything like that. There's cars that are just really either impractical or uncomfortable. I mean, I'd happily have 45 minutes in a Lotus Exige on a racetrack, but I don't want to take that home.
Yeah, anything that is really is at home, no pun intended, like at a track.
Yeah.
You know, we have fun in it and we get excited, but like, I don't know, GT4 RS.
GT3
cool,
RS.
But it's loud and uncomfortable, and unless you are at a racetrack all the time, that car is not for you.
The GT3 RS for 3 sessions at Thermal was excellent, but I got back in my Boxster and went, nope, this one, I'll take this one. The really fast version of any EV, like, don't need that. Any like the Ramats, like, fantastic piece of technology, enjoyable 3 hours, but like, I'm not spending that much money for something that feels so normal most of the time. Yeah.
Like, we drove the Lucid Air, what, the GT was it?
We drove the Dream and then also the GT.
And so Camisa just put up a post about the Sapphire, which is faster, better, and he called it like the best handling sedan he's ever driven, which is very high praise. But the one we drove, I thought handled absolutely great, and it was fast enough. Like, I wouldn't need to jump up to this next tier, no reason. It wouldn't feel that different.
Well, Camisa took it to a track day, which is where no Lucid owner will ever take their car ever.
That's true.
You know, so he's probably right, but does it matter? You know, not really. Like, I didn't get out of the Lucid Dream, which runs at 9-second quarter miles, and go, you know what this needs?
Shave a second, then call me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was more like, you know what this needs? A satellite connection for the GPS.
Yes.
You know, and like a few things here and there that would improve the UI, not like another 300 horsepower.
Yeah, need a refinement on the door locking mechanism.
Yeah, that. You know,
because Fenske ran at a fucking 8 in the Sapphire.
Yeah,
that is.
I mean, that's
bananas.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, and that is impressive, and it's crazy that for people that used to think that that you needed a pro grade drag car to do something like that you can now do it in like a dailyable EV. Like, okay, cool, like, accomplished. And maybe that will get some conquest sales from Tesla, and those annoying people can shut up about the Plaid, which those people will shut up. That's the joke. But in the real world, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't get you. The car's the same most of the time.
When's the last time you rode in a Tesla Model 3 or drove one?
Drove? It's been a couple of years. I rode in they're all fucking Ubers now. I rode in an Uber like a couple weeks ago.
I rode in one on Saturday, and it rode like there was cement in the dampers.
Yeah.
Is that how they all ride? Or was this one like particularly bad? Because I was
the performance one has better dampers.
Okay, I mean, this was just normal.
If it was like a base one, it's
dude,
not
it
good.
Felt stiffer than my car. And my car is not the most comfortable thing on the street.
Yeah.
But this felt like literal cement, and the springs were welded.
Yeah,
it was just like good.
The
it
base
just shook
ones
over
are
everything.
not good.
Holy crap!
But they're also old enough. I mean, who knows how many miles are on it? Whatever. Like, you can't really tell based on styling cues when it was from. Like, that thing. It could be like 8 years old. It could have like no bushings left. Like, the shocks could be blown out. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Luke Talion says, "Is there a Cars and Bids or Bring a Trailer marketplace for campers?" I mean, I think it's Cars and Bids. Cars and Bids lists RVs all the time. They have to be kind of cool though. Like, they list like Japanese import ones, or like those weird like Mercedes Unimog based ones, or like Overlander based ones. But like, Cars and Bids posted a camper like today.
Yeah, they got these.
Yeah.
So
every one of those is rad except the Ram ProMaster. Look at that 1990 Toyota Coaster. That sold for $9,900. Look at that one.
That must be so
second
slow.
from the right.
Yeah, this. Or
the one on the right, 13,000. Look at that thing. Can you pull that up? Is that as dope as it looks? Dude, that thing is awesome.
Looks like an Adidas shoebox.
Let's get some interior photos. This is a 1991 Toyota Coaster camping saloon. Interior looks amazing.
Dude, what is that TV for?
That is a TV. It might be a backup camera, but it also could be a TV.
That would be the largest TV for a backup camera.
Okay, let's click through. Let's see what the interior.
That backup camera is in black and white.
This was $13,000. Is that what this sold for?
That seems fair.
I mean, keep going.
Look, that's an uncomfortable bed.
Okay, so this is a small. It's a small one, but like
no stove.
140.
Sorry.
Was that 14,000 or 140,000? 146,000 kilometers. So let's get out of this one. The other one only had 37,000 miles, which is really low. Let's go to the black one real quick. Cars and Bids has. Okay, here's the black one. Let's go. Let's see the interior. I mean, 37,000 miles. Oh, whoa. Look at that. That's got the grandma doily seats. It's a stick, which actually...
Look at this armrest cup holder. It's like a lunch tray for the driver.
That's fantastic.
Just to the right of the driver's seat, on the actual windowsill, is a wooden protrusion with a cup holder in it. I mean...
Wow, this is 10 G's well spent. Let's go through some pics here. It's got the little dinette. So I'm sure a table clicks onto that.
And that's your bed, probably.
Yeah, 60,000 kilometers. That's great. This pattern on the seats, it's like your grandma's couch. Just amazing.
In red velvet instead.
Red doily velvet. Okay, so that folds into a bed. Wow.
Is that a CB radio next to the bed?
I don't know.
Wait a minute.
No, it's like a fan or a speaker or something.
That's your stereo. It's the size of a wallet.
Dude, this thing, keep going. Is there an actual bed in the back? It's like a separate room, dual zone climate.
We've seen the whole thing.
All kind of buttons. Have we?
Yeah, I think when it had all the panels together, all the cushions together.
It's a dog leg first gear. You see that?
It's like a Porsche.
Yeah.
It's like a 911.
No, there's a bedroom.
Oh, we saw a shot of that without. Oh, it does have a kitchen.
It has a little kitchen.
People need to take a photo of the entire length of the interior.
If you keep going, there must be one. I mean, for 10,000, man, this is cool.
Tiny bathroom.
It probably works. Is that a shower? That's a light.
That's a light.
It's a light fixture. AC power. It's gonna have a Jenny. Oh, look at that cute little stove, 2-burner stove. Wow.
Champagne flute holder. This is very decked out.
For 10 G's, it's delightful. You think it's really slow?
Yes. I bet
it's got to be super slow, right?
3.4 liter diesel inline
3.4? It's probably okay.
Define okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Is your Delica okay?
Yeah, right, Delica's okay.
That's
the
Delica's
a 2.5. What is the horsepower?
90.
90 horsepower and 160 pound-feet.
That's not bad.
The Delica is 87 horsepower and 135 pound-feet.
This RV weighs 6,000 pounds.
Oh wow, it's got to be so slow. It probably
it's too slow.
It's probably
too slow.
I would struggle going over the grapevine, I think.
Yeah, get a Transit with Eco.
But 10 G's, dude.
It's true.
For 10 G's, that's pretty goddamn cool.
It's very pimp.
I am very into it.
This is the perfect van for a skateboard.
So, yeah. Right? All right, Luke, try listing your shit on Cars and Bids. They got campers. Oscar Negron says, have you ever driven an ultra-high performance all-season tire on a track? I have Michelin PSAS 4. That's the PS4 all-season. I'd like to start getting into some light track work, but I don't have room for storing 2 sets of wheels, and I can't run summers all year. Will they survive, or should I just wait till I'm able to have another set of wheels? Yes, they will survive. Your grip will be slightly reduced off what it could be, but it'll be predictable, and they'll be fine. Yeah, you can absolutely run an all-season tire on a track. It'll be okay. Dre in Houston, do you have any bad experience stories with Turo? I just rented a base Panamera in Orlando, and the dude messaged me every time it was a hard acceleration. I was like, bro, I have a 911 and a Panamera. I'm merging. Relax. If you have a kinship with your car, it probably shouldn't be on Turo.
That would be really weird.
It would be really weird.
I mean, you know they're paying attention, but that close, that's, yeah.
Well, we used to, at the rental company back in the day, we had earlier GPSs on cars, and it would text Rob Ferretti every time the car went over 100 miles an hour. And so sometimes he would be phone ding, 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 and people would just be like mobbing these things. And like, I don't know why he wanted that, because like it's not like that's against the rental agreement or anything, but it might just be good to know.
I think it's good to know. If I was in his business, I would check the car more thoroughly when they come back.
Yeah.
And I'd be paying attention to that rental. It would probably stress me out a little bit.
Yeah. We might have done some things differently. I don't really remember if because of that. But like if you're renting a fast car and you're messaging the renter when I don't know what hard acceleration is defined as, but maybe there's a G-force sensor or something in there.
It'd be weird. I mean, if this person's going over 100, then that'd be different. We don't really know the specifics. But if you're just 3/4 throttle and then they get an alert and then they text you, that's a little bit too nanny state for me.
I don't personally have any horror stories with Turo, but like we've had a lot of people come to LA to visit. They see the canyons. They grab a car off Turo. They want to drive around, and they like I'm talking about fans who come visit us here at the shop, and once in a while they'll be like, "Yeah, I rented this M3 on Turo," and I'll go look at it, and the tires will be mismatched. You know, the brake rotors are super glazed. You know, just like stuff like that, where the car has been maintained in a cheap way because it's like a Turo car. That's pretty much what I've seen the most. Have you seen anything like horrible?
I've only rented one ever, and it was like a brand new Mustang convertible. So the condition was fine.
We rented that Corvette on Turo. It was fine.
Oh, that's true.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but it was okay.
It was like a 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. I mean, it wasn't in disrepair.
That letter was missing off the badge.
But all the tires were in good shape, and they all matched.
Yeah.
So that was important.
Yeah. I think if I am renting a car from Turo, I don't want to hear from the owner during the rental. You're there. If I need you, I would never want to rent a car from somebody that I feel like is actually watching my moves. I don't fucking like peer-to-peer stuff. Like we just did at this festival, we got an Airbnb house, and like it was fine. There was nothing wrong with the house. Everything, but it was expensive, and it was a nice house. And there was nothing wrong. Everything worked out, and the owner, when I had questions, was very responsive and no big deal, no stress. And he didn't even have any ridiculous demands about cleaning. It was like, take out the trash, turn off the air conditioning, turn off the lights, lock the doors. Done. Okay. But the whole time, I was just like, if I was in a hotel, they would be making my bed every day. You know, like if I was in a hotel, like I wouldn't have to cook my own breakfast. Like they would have breakfast.
Yeah,
and considering we were really just sleeping there and then going back to the festival, I was like, you know, like in a hotel, I wouldn't have to collect money for my cousins to split this. They would just pay for their own fucking rooms.
Right.
And I feel the same way about rental cars. If you want to test drive something specific that you're not going to find in a rental fleet, grab it for a day off of Turo. Check it before you check it out. But like, if I'm traveling to a new city and I just need a rental car, I'm going corporate. Yeah. Because if something happens, take this fucking thing back and give me another one.
Well, Airbnb was nice because for a while it was way cheaper than a hotel. Now it's not. And a lot of times it's more expensive. So then you have to really look at the pros and cons.
Yeah. But fortunately, not too many horror stories. Chappie says, can you think of a car that drives worse with better residuals than a 4Runner? Drove a friend's TRD Pro and it was terrible. I mean, they've been making the 4Runner the same for like 15 years now.
Yeah. And the new one doesn't have an updated transmission either.
But that is what that client wants. That client wants simple, rugged, functional, minimal frills.
True.
My sister-in-law, Jillian, bought a 3-year-old 4Runner and loves it. Absolutely. And I drove it, and it drives like straight garbage. And I would not put up with that car but she abso-fucking-lutely loves this car, and because it makes her feel safe.
And the garbage will keep going for a long time. I mean, that's they do drive like garbage, but their reputation is that they will just work. Yeah. Whereas their competition doesn't have that reputation. So that's why they have such strong residuals. But they are unique in that way where, you know, the resale prices. I mean, that was, when I was a kid, I was trying to buy a Toyota Tacoma truck. And they were so expensive with so many miles, and I didn't know why.
Yeah.
But even back then, it was like, what, 98?
Yeah.
They were a lot of money.
I mean, with small pickup truck, compact pickup truck, and that type of SUV, durability is a real virtue there. They don't want complexity. They you know, and
well, they also shine in their environment. Where like if there was a sports car that was Miata, like very reliable, but also did its job of being exciting to drive very, very well, it helps it retain some of its value. Yeah. But those don't drive like garbage.
Yeah. The only one that I think is more money for a worse car is a Land Rover Defender.
Yeah, they're so uncomfortable.
They're heinous to drive.
I don't know who they're for.
Yeah. It's people who want to look cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they're heinous things to drive and sit in and just generally be around. But they're worth a fucking fortune.
Yeah, very true.
Tim A says, what's your experience driving on carbon fiber wheels? From a driver's perspective, how do carbon fiber wheels compare to other lightweight materials like magnesium? You can, if you drive the same car with standard steel wheels or aluminum wheels and carbon fiber wheels, you can feel the difference right away. It does everything better. Goes better, stops better, turns in harder. But if you hit a curb the wrong way, hit a crack in the road the wrong way, get the brakes really hot and then park the car, you can crack the wheels in a way that they can't be repaired.
Yep.
We had a car during our Performance Car of the Year test, had carbon fiber wheels on it, and Jethro was driving it and just did some lapping and came back, and both front and back wheels were cracked, fatally so.
Whoa.
Now, fortunately, the manufacturer brought several extra wheels, so we were able to repair the car and keep going. But Ford is getting away from carbon fiber wheels. They did the GT350R, the GT500, and the Ford GT. The customers hate them. All the customers hate the carbon wheels, so that's why that new Mustang GTD thing they're doing is magnesium. Porsche has no patience for carbon fiber wheels, and so they're only doing magnesium.
And I'm curious what the weight difference is between those, but we had a GT500 on proving grounds, shattered the wheel, and it just blew apart. And I mean, we were doing aggressive things with it, but it's an aggressive car. And the fact that, like you said, you can just do a tiny nick or a crack or something and try to repair that, it's gonna be very challenging. Yeah, and then they're expensive to replace.
Yeah, we had the video, the in-car video of
Jethro.
Yeah, and the thing that the point at which that wheel failed was not a driver error, and it was not an unreasonable ask from a car that was being used at a track. It was hit the curbing the same way you'd hit the curbing in any other car. It was a totally reasonable place to put that wheel, and both wheels failed. So it's too bad because like they look cool and they're so light that they help the car. They really help you change direction really fast, and they also relieve the brakes a lot, and they do make the car behave better. But yeah, it's not really worth it. Ivan Capote says, after experiencing the V, do you see miles per freedom vehicles like this in 10 years? I don't think that things should be banned. I think there should be incentives and disincentives. And so I think that those things work, and bans have backlashes. And so you don't need to ban a vehicle like this. You just need to make it unreasonably expensive. And if someone really wants to spend the money to be that inefficient and take up that much space, well, okay. But it should be reflecting the fact that large, heavy vehicles put more strain on our infrastructure and our resources, and you should pay incrementally for that. Our roads are fucked. Our infrastructure is fucked. And if you're driving a very heavy car, particularly a very heavy, fast car, where you're also, now it's not just the weight, but you're accelerating heavier, you're braking from higher speeds, you are putting more strain on those shared resources, not to mention burning more fuel. And so that should cost money, a lot of it, in my opinion. You should not be able to deduct this fee. You should not be able to depreciate an Escalade V first year. There should be no tax incentive to buy something like that.
They should look into that loophole more, because there's I'm sure a commercial reason for that, but the fact that so many of these privately owned vehicles get lumped into that, it seems like BS.
Yeah. That law wasn't written when somebody would consider a private vehicle that weighed so much. It was only commercial vehicles when that law was written, and obviously it needs to be changed. And we need to have incentives that incentivize driving smaller, lighter, more efficient vehicles. Holy shit, Andriy, is that right? Andriy
Sityashenko?
Yeah, we'll go with that. What platform and car do you wish had a performance variant that doesn't currently exist? For me, it was the new Corolla, and then Toyota did, in fact, come through. I mean, I'd like to see a performance variant of the fucking 86 with a turbo engine in it.
Oh, like a proper, like a step up from that. Because they made the TS, a few years ago, but it was just suspension and tires.
Yeah, I'd like to see what would go on with a turbo variant there. I mean, I buy their reasons for not doing it, but I'd like to see a Lexus LCF, the LC 500, but hopped up.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
With an F variant, that would be very cool. That's probably my top one. The LC 500 is so great. But one that was set up for performance a little bit would just be exceptional.
Because it's pretty soft and the transmission's not the fastest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's still fun to drive.
Yeah.
And it could handle light track work even, but like I'd like to see what they could do with it.
Yeah.
I
agree with those answers.
Yeah. Blake, two more. Blake Griffin said, what kind of fun weekend car would you go for in a place like Florida? I've had an Ariel Atom for 3 years, and I hardly drive it after moving here. Is there a worse Florida car than an Ariel Atom? Straight lines, hot as fuck.
Yeah. Those
bugs and rain.
It rains every day at 3 p.m.
That is a gnarly fucking...
I mean, Blake didn't know he was going to, maybe he didn't know you were going to live there when you got the Ariel Atom, but yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Cruisers, like... I mean, not the Escalade V, but like I think big power AMG type cruiser stuff.
Yeah.
It's comfortable when you want it to be comfortable, because Florida, whenever I've been there, you can cover a lot of miles because things are far apart, but the highway system's straight and pretty good. There's no turns, so just get something that like makes noise, or get something old.
Car. I mean,
old with a roof.
Sure. I mean, if you wanted something sporty, I would make sure to I would dial it back to something that could be enclosed. I mean, I keep going back to it, but that. I saw that Cars and Bids F80 or whatever the code is for the convertible. It was a stick shift F80 M4 convertible, which I think that would be, it's nice enough to be comfortable. It's fast enough for Florida highways. If you find some corners, it's got that, but you don't need corners to enjoy it. Put the top down when the weather's right. Put the top back up when it's not. That would be cool. R129 SL Mercedes if you want to go classic. Maybe a 600 if you're feeling fucking spicy.
I mean, I think it's a good place for old cars, 60s cars too. Get one that has vintage air installed, because all you're doing is just cruising around, making noise, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the roads are in good condition there, unless there's a giant sinkhole. So like they don't beat cars up really. So you don't have to have like really plush suspension or something. You can have, just a performance vehicle and it'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the budget is here,
right.
but if you wanted to, let's assume you had a little more money, just a little bit.
V8 Vantage.
V8 Vantage Roadster. V8 Vantage manual Roadster. It's with a 4.7. That would be lovely.
Yeah.
That would be a great car.
Yeah.
Underrated.
Timeless good looks.
Yeah. That would be a fun one. I think that's a great call. V8 Vantage would be good. Yeah. Last one. Strom Speed. Looking for a classic Ferrari for that gated manual experience and design, but do they all cost a fortune to maintain? They all cost quite a bit to maintain. Some are less than others. The front engine Ferraris don't need engine outs. So anything from, you could start with it. I mean, I assume you're not asking about Daytonas, but 550 or 575 Maranellos, those don't need engine out services. Everything can be done with the engine in the car. So the scary ones are the 348, the 355, and the Mondial. Those do need engine out because it's a longitudinal engine, the V8, and the timing belts are against the back of the bulkhead.
Is Mondial the cheapest entry into mid-engine Ferraris? I do not like them, but is that the only draw?
Depends on the car. There's two Mondials. There's a Mondial 8 and there's a Mondial T. The T, they turned the powertrain. So the earlier Mondials have the same powertrain as the 308 and 328, which is transverse. They then changed it and they used a 348 powertrain for the final 2 years. Those drive better, but they need the engine out. My 328, I think, is a great balance of classic looks, classic drive, still somewhat usable, no engine out. Still kind of expensive, but a little less than you might think.
What about a 360? Are those engine out?
No. The 360 has an access panel to get to the belts. So you can get to the belts through the cabin. So you actually have to take the seats out.
Wow.
But you don't have to take the engine out. So 360s, the problem with 360s are the stick shift ones are getting expensive. Yeah. But they're still good value. A 360 with some miles on it and a stick and a good stack of service records, maybe in a boring color. That's a great entry point into Ferrari, and they do tend to work properly. I would like a 360 eventually. They're a lot of fun to drive.
Let's see. Cars and bids, they have prices range from 50 to 260. That's a Monstradale. 50 to 150.
Yeah.
Basically, depending on
150 gets you a late Spider with low miles.
Yeah, this is like a 10,000-mile Spider with a manual.
Yeah.
With 135,000.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's worth it.
A red coupe was 125.
If you wanted a 360,
manual, you're looking at 100.
I would say you want a manual coupe for maintenance reasons. Awesome. The Spider top is very complicated and can be very expensive to fix. I love the idea of a Spider, but I'd hate for that top to sideline you if you were budget conscious.
Like forever. Looks like if you want a manual, you're spending 100.
Yeah.
So.
And we did see that conversion kit that guy's got now. It looks like, you could probably do it for 20. So maybe if you wanted to buy an F1 and convert it yourself, you could save some money that way. And you could do a major service while that was being done. So that way you can get started on the right foot. And with the Ferraris, you get them right once, and then they're good for a while. So you got to eat one big dick, and then you're good for a bit. I need to drive mine. I think I might put the Porsche down in South Bay and get the Ferrari this week. I think I need to drive that car. It's been sitting for a couple weeks. That's our show. What do we have later? What do we have the rest of this week?
We have something tomorrow. No,
we do?
No, we have phone calls tomorrow. It's different.
Oh, yeah, that's different.
I don't know. I have to look.
Yeah. We'll have to figure out what it is we're going to be talking about later this week. My brain is really hanging on by a thread.
You need to sleep for a day.
I wish I had time to, but I don't. So here we are.
Go home and go to bed.
Thank you to everybody for your questions. Patrons, very much appreciate that. Thanks to everybody else for listening. Go check out Zack's ZR2 article, which is at roadandtrack.com right now. Our E-Ray story will be up. I got the video, and I've got the written blur. It's not really a written review for Road and Track. It's a companion piece to the video more so than anything else, because I wrote a full piece on the E-Ray for Road and Track print that comes out next month. Anyway, that's what's happening around here, and we'll see you guys later this week. Bye.